everybody. Good evening or good night, depending on where you are. So have you seen, just while we're waiting, seen anything interesting in AI?
I'm kind of, since we've been looking at and just thinking about nodes and inference and stuff, there's this really cool software called VLLM that you can do inference across a ton of different types of compute and a ton of different kinds of models. They're pretty new. I think they've been around for the last year or so. I mean, everything's new in this space, but that one, I was actually recommended to them by somebody who knows the CEO down in the valley right now, and they're doing some really good work. You should check it out, dude. So there's that. And I just saw, I forgot the name of the Reddit post, but they said they had the world's fastest inference engine now across Meta's models, the Llama. And so I didn't dive into it, but I think that tech is pretty cool, especially being able to run the inference, all sorts of kind of different compute nodes, That's really interesting.
I'm interested to see how they're solving inference, especially unless it's it's standard inference with A100s, which can hold an entire model in one, in one card. It would be really interesting to see how they're solving a sharded inference. So if it's distributed and people are using their 4090s in their home computer to run some sort of, pseudo mining thing, how are they actually distributing that across multiple GPUs and then paying people for their use of those GPUs? I'm really interested to find out how they're solving that problem for distributed inference.
Yeah, exactly. Research.
That's a hard one,
but yeah.
Yeah, it's a really tough one because you've got a speed problem, and you've got, quite simply a vast amount of storage and VRAM that's needed on a card just for a language.
Yeah, a vertical scaling challenge, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How about you, Ben? What's caught your fancy in the world of AI?
The advances in the AI-assisted coding tools. So as you know, I do my coding essentially copy-paste from GPT and Claude, which I have to say Claude is really getting better at code. But looking at services like Cursor, so it's a IDE replacement for VS Code, but it has AI baked into it. So it not only looks at your entire code base, apparently, but it's also sort of built in. So you could still ask it, build me a function to do this, and it will output within the IDE. But you can also say, check the other functions and, refactor this so it will run faster. So that's really where I'm interested in, seeing the, and there's a lot of talk. So guys from AWS, I read the article recently, and of course, all of the people name dropped in there, I've forgotten.
No, it's Michael Gorman, CEO of AWS, and he's somebody we worked together.
Yeah.
He was the VP of EC2 when I was there. Yeah.
Okay. So he's basically saying, coding is on its way out because of tools like Cursor and language models like that. So I've been saying this for the last 16 months. AI coding is going from I need to learn React to I just need to learn how to explain it better. Coding is going natural language.
Yeah.
Really, really fast.
Yep. Yeah, Cursor is pretty cool. I use it, but I still can't break away from how I use Chat GPT, honestly. I have Cursor installed, and I don't know. I just like my workflow with Chat GPT, and it's probably I should just go, because Cursor, you can app files, and you can, it doesn't do the whole code base, so that would be kind of, obviously, the huge code base would be impossible, but yeah, you can app files, and then, and pointless.
It is, you don't have to, because this is where I see people, the current conversation is, it needs to have the whole code base. It's no, it doesn't. It just needs to know in context to what you're working on. So it needs to have, I think for true language model coding, it needs to have an internal structured directory where it's linking up in the background what code interacts with what other code. So then when you ask it to build something, it already knows in the background what it needs to reference, not the entire base. But that's just time. It's only a little bit of time.
Right.
Well, shall we just start?
Yeah.
All right. So let's discuss why we're doing this AMA, and we can inform what other AMAs we've got coming up. So, Toby, Why do we want to hold this in?
Well, yeah, I think overall, I mean, from my own personal point of view, it's about why we're building, what we're building, where we're at, and the token launch. It's probably a good way to summarize it.
Yeah.
How about you, Ben?
We also, yeah, talking to the community, trying to explain what's going on, and just be as transparent as we possibly can.
Yeah, and I do wonder too if, there's a technical side of things and like product side of things, but I wonder if like Billy just came and left, right? I do wonder if it's maybe, do people want to know more about token launch, and is that on top of people's minds more than other stuff,
They want to know about the product or the tokens or the utility, or
Right.
which is what these are for. Ask us anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, for those who missed today's AMA, we are holding an AMA on our Twitter account next week. Same time, same day, just next week on the X. The week after, again, same day, same time on Discord again. And we'll hold a AMA on the day of our launch, which is the Tuesday, the 17th, or Monday, the 17th, depending on what time zone you are. Because time zones
I like that, dude. Announcing the next episode before we've just started the first one.
Exactly.
I like it. Yeah.
So that's explaining why we're doing the AMA and what others we have coming up. So let's talk a little bit about the platform, the Web3 Builder progress, what we've built since we did the private launch on the private token sale on CoinNectar a few weeks ago, and specifically about that, and then sort of where we're up to today based on the Web Builder.
Yeah. So when we first started out, we had like a specific use case in mind, right? Or a couple different use cases, I guess. One was just getting the thing to generate landing pages for projects and helping people who aren't technical, who aren't design specialists and experts, create something that looks good and communicate what they're doing to the world. That was the first thing we wanted to do. And we have the basic version of that running. What we need to do to improve that is expand the number of different components that are there. And that's what we're working on, this week, is just making sure there's, dozens and dozens of ways for you to make a good looking page to communicate what you're doing. And that was really like the first thing, because it was also the easiest thing. It's like, hey, before we get into like the Web3 stuff, let's at least just get that out the door, because everybody's going to need it. So that was first. Then we started looking at what next, right? And we had in our 5-week proposal, or I guess 4 to 8 week proposal really, was some different components and different landing pages. And one of them was a DEX dashboard. And that was a way for people to essentially create their own token and then create a page that lets people see a trading chart, a trading view widget, a swap chart or swap widget, and all the DEX trades that are going on. And last week, that's what we launched. We now have the ability for people to mint a token in the pump, and then they can build their DEX dashboard, and it can be for their own token. You can get that stuff on other sites, but the vision here is that people will be able to build these on their own site, post it on their own domain, and make money for their efforts there, instead of all that trading value going to a third-party company. So that was like the next big thing that we wanted to do, and we did that last week. And then this week, it's exciting because we didn't announce this ahead of time, but we wanted to enable commerce. We want to make it so that anybody across the globe, whether you're in Seattle, where I'm at now, in Asia, where Ben's at, or Ronnie's at, or in Africa, create a page and sell a physical or digital product with ADA, and just make that super seamless. And we're going to roll that out this week and share the progress we made on that front. And I think that's super exciting because it opens up a whole new revenue channel for a lot of people. So that's kind of where things are at right now. Ben, I'll pause there, and then just any thoughts or questions from that.
Yeah, I was looking at the e-commerce tool that you had that's built when you showed it to me yesterday, and it's not only is it, I think, a really smart way of doing things, tooting our own horn here, but I also think it opens up, as you said, a whole new avenue for people who are stuck in a fiat-only e-commerce environment, allowing people to transact directly in crypto, in ADA specifically, within a closed environment without having to get a Stripe account or a third-party payment processor that also supports tokens, or integrate, a token-only payment provider where there are additional fees and costs, and you still have to have all of these other tools. I think it really addresses that problem, and I think it's really smart. So props to the dev team on that one.
Yeah, and it's quite basic, right? I mean, if you're setting up something on Shopify, for example, you'd go in, you define products, you have variations, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you'd probably want to get to at some point. But for this version, it was like, hey, what's the simplest way that people can just start making money, And that's kind of the design goal at this point. But I can see a future where people are like, hey, I've got a store, there's 10 products or there's 100 products. How do we handle that? So we'll grow into that. But right now, I mean, what we'll ship this week is just selling single product items, right? And I think it's a great place to start.
Completely agree. Also, the token minter, if we can talk about that for a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, again, a fantastic tool within the Playfix platform. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, it's funny, like when you have a big project like this, Ben, and Ronnie, you kind of have an idea of what you want to do. And then along the way, you realize that you'll need other things in order to support your vision. And that's why we did the token minter, because to make things super seamless for people to create DEX dashboards and then to eventually create DEXs and create staking apps, it all makes sense to have it within one management console. And so we just made it super easy to like click a page, click, mint token, and then define the metadata, define the token name, how much, how many tokens do you want minted, all the socials and websites and logo, and then mint the token. And now, you have the basis for doing whatever you want, right? Whatever your product's about. So just making it super seamless, and then that's setting us up. I mean, immediately was setting us up for connecting it to the DEX dashboard, and then as we look to like just from now until the end of this year, all the different integrations we'll have with staking and whatnot, I think just set this up nicely to have those things more easily connected within the same view.
And I think if I wanted to connect the dots, right, for what is being built, as a user, I could go into Playfix, create my account, then I could mint a token, then get it live on the chain so people can transact with it. I can create a swap page and a staking page. So my token is then now supported with ways people can transact with it and interact with it. But I could also then go and create a marketplace on the platform where people can start to actually make transactions and purchase products with my token that I have just minted and I'm managing. So essentially, you're creating this whole end-to-end supply chain of creating the tokens to creating a transaction base with the token, which would, if you have a product that gets a lot of transactions, that then encourages people to put into the liquidity pool of your token, because there's a lot of transactions happening within your e-commerce. So you're really owning everything.
Yeah, exactly. That was put really well, man. Yeah, that's right. And we don't know exactly all the different ways that people can, I guess, stitch things together and all the permutations about how they'll kind of bring things to market. But at the end of the day, like what you're saying is right. Like the end value, I guess, minting, staking, selling, transacting. Yeah, we just want to support all that and want to enable anybody with an idea to do those things without having a huge budget at the end of the day. Yeah.
Or ability to do any coding, because it's all no code. So forget about
no code. Yeah, it's fast. It's just fast, right? I mean, they always say, right, in the startup world, faster time to market, faster iteration on ideas, faster testing ideas. That's actually the one thing that when I'm using this thing for just developing and testing, I'm like, man, You can just bring something to market today, and look at other sites that have done that, right? Like Pump Fund did that for tokens on Solana, and for good or bad, right? I mean, but at the end of the day, it was like, hey, how can people get to market fast? And that speed element is what needs to happen. If you have an idea, you don't want to like sit in your closet and burn on it for half a year or a year, right? Get it to market, like try to find a way to see if people want it, and if you can sell something and find users. And that's we're enabling that. We're enabling that speed to market for sure.
Absolutely. So there's extra steps that need to be taken after mint a token, especially on ADA, where you have to do something with GitHub. You then have to have a liquidity pool. What are the plans we have for sort of making that easier for people?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good point. Is that once you start to like peel back the layers of this onion, you see why it took so long and it cost so much to do things, because are all these extra steps that you have to take, and that's our opportunity, right? Like Jeff Bezos is like famous for saying that his competitors' margins are his opportunity, right? I'm viewing it the same way here, right? Like everybody who's making money in this space right now and who's like able to, charge extra or take a long time to develop something, like that's our opportunity. We just want to streamline that and cut it down, like cut the cost down, cut the time to market down. And that includes things like you said, like when you mint a token. Right now, we don't have the registered token in the registry thing built, but that's a pretty simple step for us to automate, and we'll have it done within, I don't know, in the next couple of weeks for sure. But the next thing, right, is like after that one's pretty easy, but the next hardest thing is getting your token on a DEX somewhere. Either a centralized or a decentralized exchange, or a centralized exchange is where most tokens have to go. So we'll first tackle the decentralized exchanges, the DEXs, and we're going to start with partners and like working with DEXs that are out there and companies like Dex Center. But then we have a keen eye towards like how can we make the experience even better for projects. And if that requires, that we create our own DEX contracts and let people connect to them, then we'll definitely do that. So that one is like it's I think it's top of mind, but it's not on the like hard roadmap item yet. But it's an area that we're looking to. And then from there, the one thing that is definitely top of mind and is on the roadmap and is something that we're going to develop around a lot is staking. And staking and all the different kinds of variations that can exist. Coinbase has their staking contracts that they use for the launchpad, and we're going to partner with them, and we're going to offer those contracts and that interface via our platform, like customizable staking interfaces that support their model of staking. But Ben, just last night when we were talking, you had a brilliant idea, and I want you to share it now, about how to solve subscriptions with staking. Can you tell us about your model? I mean, if you don't think it's too early,
No,
yeah.
No. So the issue that we have in crypto payments is it's very difficult to actually manage subscriptions, because every transaction has to be signed and approved, which is completely, that's inherent to the system. Now, currently you can't, like a credit card, you would just give your credit card and they deduct directly from that at given periods. It's not particularly safe to have a contract that will have direct access to your wallet.
Yeah.
Because that just opens up to draining the entire thing, and there are no protections for you. So there has to be a different solution for managing subscriptions. And in the conversation that we were having yesterday, it inspired the thought of, well, how do you essentially create a subscription? And you do that with staking. And the rough idea is that you would, for your service, you would essentially say you pay upfront 12 months of the subscription, and the contract will essentially take that full 12 months and hold it. And then over the period of your subscription, you're essentially staking that coin. It could be the platform like PFX, or it could be ADA, being staked. Every month, a small amount is deducted from that stake. So it's not connected to your wallet, it's from the contract. And that goes to the provider, PFX subscription. And then at any point, you can unstake that amount and, of course, get it all back. That would cancel your subscription like normal,
Yeah.
but you're never at risk of having people actually go in and taking and draining the entire wallet. But it also
Yeah.
allows you to, let's say if you were going to do PFX, then you've got people actually buying the coin, staking the coin within your own system. Again, not dumping it on the ecosystem, but actually using it and creating transactions within the environment. And you've got staking bonuses, and you could essentially be earning money while paying a subscription. So that's sort of the rough idea. And I think it's a unique way at coming at solving subscriptions where everyone has some level of protection.
Yeah, it's pretty. I love the idea when I heard it, and I want to do it. So you send me the email. We're going to get it scoped out, and I think you should come through our system in some capacity. And also, I think there's going to be, I don't know how many different versions of staking people might want, but it could be a handful, it could be dozens, right? And we just want that coming through our marketplace and want it available and want to make it easier for people to deploy it and then activate it. So that's, and with the marketplace thing is kind of taking a back seat, and right, Ben? Like, we haven't really talked about it a lot lately, but that's in the back pocket here.
Yeah. Well, that was more, as far as the roadmap, that was kind of moving into Q1, Q2 next year anyway, where we start.
Right.
Because we still have all of the web builder components, experience, all of that to build, and all of the Web3 tools. We still have chat, we still have the chatbots in the bag. Expand out on how those operate. So there's a ton of work.
Yeah, one of the early people we've let into the system, everybody's clicking around, right? And they saw that and they're like, oh, hey, I want this now. Like, I want this chat on our site. How do I get that? And it's we haven't integrated it into the builder yet, but now I'm kind of bumping it up. Like, it's not quite at the staking level, but it's getting up there. I think we need to revisit that and maybe reprioritize connecting that to the web builder.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah. And do we think that we are going to... So we will be releasing a package that people can purchase for a one-off fee that's going to essentially give them access to stuff. We're still working on the fine details of that, but we can announce that there'll be a package that you can purchase to access and use these tools. My question is, would we be offering them by using our own e-commerce tool? So are we going to be selling access to use the tools with the tools that we're building?
100%. We're at that point now with what we're doing that things that we bring to the market should be built with our tools. So that package will be sold using Playfix. It'll be built and sold, and we should document it, right? We should record a video and show everybody how we've done it and how they can replicate that. And that package is going to be such a good deal. The value that we're going to create for people and offer at this stage is kind of unprecedented. You're not going to find that value anywhere else. You're not going to be able to get hosting, get templates, get AI builder, get minting, get e-commerce for that price point anywhere else on the internet, right? So I think that's really exciting for everybody. And yeah, it will all be built and delivered with Playfix tools.
Awesome. Really excited by what we're building.
Yeah.
So all of this comes at a cost, and we are an incredibly small team, which kind of brings us up to fundraising and onto the topic of the token sale. So on the 17th, depending on where you are, we are doing a 24-hour public release on Coinector for tokens, for the PFX token. So do you have any thoughts on what you want to tell people about that?
Well, the first thing, like, besides just the metadata, like, okay, I guess that it's happening on the 17th, it's going to last for 24 hours. The tokenomics are available. Like, if you want to know how many we're selling and how much we're raising, etc. But the main thing here is just the value for everybody who buys, right? We have an interesting model and that I haven't seen anywhere else, right? The closest thing we've seen that we kind of model after was Nuvola. And Nuvola did a really cool thing where they're incentivizing everybody who bought their token with earning points for other staking and node operations on their platform, right? We did something really different, and we're doing it with revenue. So you think about all the money that we can potentially make here, right? All the different subscription fees and trading fees that will come through our platform. We're taking 34% of that. I mean, here's really like the most important thing. We're taking 34% of all that income, we're putting it into a rewards pool, and people who buy our token and stake it get a cut of all that. That's something I've never heard anywhere else in the world, in the whole ecosystem, especially on Cardano. And I think it's a model for the future because it's rewarding people who believed in us and who backed us from the beginning. And that to me is the most important part, aside from just the general details of like when, what, where, and why kind of thing.
Well, that actually brings up an interesting point. So you said the subscription revenue. Are there other revenue options that Playfix will be sort of looking into that may or may not go into that subscription at 34%?
Yeah, so I think anything on the platform related. So we will have subscription fees. We'll have transaction fees for some things, right? And we haven't fully scoped it all out yet, so we don't have the definite or the full list potentially. But we do know that there will be like DEX trading fees eventually, right? And those can be added to the pool. We do know there will be transaction fees for the commerce component. So you can just look at like what we're doing and use your imagination to see the potential of other ways that we can generate revenue through the platform, and those would be included into that staking pool.
So people don't just have to look at sort of, there might be 2,000 to 20,000 subscribers to the platform. That's the extent of the revenue. It's subscription plus one large seller could be generating $1 million in their own revenue of transactions, selling PDFs or documents or whatever they're selling. And that also goes into the pool. So the opportunity for actual income from people who are staking PFX is quite substantial based on...
It's substantial. And I think, even the subscription stuff is substantial, right, Ben? Remember like earlier this year when we were doing different spaces and whatnot, we were talking to people and we used the WordPress comparison, and we're talking about WordPress being a $500 billion a year economy. And it was through subscriptions, infrastructure, plugins, templates, etc. So even just that part can be really, really significant for us and for everybody that is joining us. So I don't want to, I want to make sure everybody knows that even Webflow right now, Webflow is like a new modern version of WordPress. Webflow has $100 million in revenue every year. We're the Web3 version of that. The sky is the limit here for us. We know that there's a ton of potential just on the subscription side. And then you start to think about all the volume transaction-wise that could flow through us. If we do this thing right, we get all these things built out that we want to get built out. Now you're talking about, I don't know, something that kind of combines, what if you combine WordPress and Stripe, That's kind of what we're talking about here. It can get pretty big. And this is, of course, the visionariness talking, right? Like what could happen, but that's the potential here. That's like total addressable market stuff here.
34% of 100 billion. That's a lot of revenue to be sharing out. But we'll take.
And just the disclaimer now. This is not financial advice. Did we throw that out anywhere? Yeah. I don't want Gary Gensler coming after me.
Well, honestly, if I wasn't part of the team, I'd be getting PFX personally.
Yeah.
So let's jump on to how people can get some free tokens. We are currently running an airdrop, predominantly having you help us get the word out about what we're doing, predominantly by retweeting, liking, and commenting on our posts as we put them into the Discord. The total pool of tokens that we are going to be distributing is 1.5% of the total supply, which I think is 3 million tokens. Is that correct?
Well, our market cap is somewhere past 2 million, so 1.5% of over 2 mil. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a significant amount. Yeah.
significant amount of tokens that we're getting that we are putting into the airdrop. So it's not particularly difficult work to do, but if you want freebies, we really appreciate the help of everyone amplifying what we're talking about. The way it works is just go into our Discord, click in the airdrop, you submit your wallet ID, and you start to earn points by, we drop links into the earn points channel, and you interact with those to get points. Those points add up to 75. Once you have 75, you will then buy your access to the airdrop. So there is some requirements for you to do a little bit of work to get to there. We do want to announce that there's already people who have hit 75 and over. So we're going to release a bonus purchase, which if you get to a total of 150 points, you can double your claim, which is really exciting for those people who are really keen on helping out and communicating what we're talking about. Cool. Let's talk a little bit about the NFTs.
Yeah, right now we're keeping it pretty stealth, right? We have a lot of really good plans, but we're not going to reveal all of them right now. This is the OG NFT announcement, and we're going to start giving access to this. We're going to make it really easy for people to get access to it. And we're not announcing utility yet, but we have some really cool things planned. I think it's pretty much where we're at right now, right?
Absolutely. So anyone that participates within the airdrop will be able to access one of these OG NFTs. There is going to be a very limited supply of them. We are not creating an insane amount. And these are for the OG Playfixes. So it would be very, very smart to get your hands on one of these little buggers as soon as they're out. Specifically, jump in the airdrop, because the utility of them for what we're discussing internally might be very, very, very exciting for people. Partnerships. So we have been announcing some partnerships over the past couple of months with infrastructure providers, CDN providers. We have more conversations going on constantly. Do we want to talk about any partnerships that we are working on at the moment, or we just remind people of who we're working with?
Yeah, I want to give a rundown of who we're working with, and then everything else is going to be TBD over the next couple of weeks.
Oops, sorry, weird issue then. Yeah, so it totally slipped my mind. Do you recall the names of the companies we are working with as the...
Yeah, of course. I mean, NeuroChain is one of them. That's the one you worked with. You wanted to just talk about that for a second?
NeuroChain. Yes. Yeah,
yeah.
So NeuroChain is a inference provider. So similar to Nuvola, where they do distributed language model inference, they have a very smart and very fast system. We have already started working with them to discuss how we can deliver our AI services from within their ecosystem. The interesting thing about what NeuroChain is doing and why we're sort of talking to them is that they can provide us with custom trained language models. So rather than just using sort of a standard off-the-shelf thing that has this, huge knowledge about everything, we train a very specifically skilled model to do just exactly what we want and nothing more. And NeuroChain will enable that in a very smart and functional way. It's also going to allow us to keep the costs down. And of course, if we can keep those production infrastructure costs down, it means there's more profit to put into the token. That 34% gets larger if our costs lower. We've also got a partnership with Moneta, so Moneta is a Cardano stablecoin on Cardano. We are really excited by what they're doing. Side note, if anyone has seen Moneta and, oh God, lost the name. There is a competition, I believe, where Moneta's giving $1 million if you can hack a system, $1 million USDM. Yes, USDM, if you can hack a system that's part of the Cardano. I think it's got something to do with the Hydra system that was just released recently. So they're doing some really fun things. Precipitate is another partner we are working with. So Precipitate have CDNs and hosting. So a lot of images and videos and stuff that you put up on your site have to be hosted in places where it's very fast to deliver from. and we're using Precipitate as our partner there. We are also talking. Nope, I won't announce that. I'll wait maybe till later, till we have more details on that partnership. So
yeah, I think that's good enough for now. The next couple weeks will be pretty exciting for sure.
Exactly. Do we have any final thoughts, Tobias? Well, my final thought is that I'm really excited by what we're building. I know, tooting our own horn is fairly passe, I should say, but really, I really think we're trying to build, or we're building something very unique and very different for the ecosystem that will enable a lot of people here to create and just test out ideas and things they've wanted to build without necessarily having to have a huge amount of cash or development skills, and just get some stuff out there. I also see that the more that we can enable people to, create an e-commerce site that uses ADA as the transaction tool, that will increase the volume of transactions within ADA, which will increase, the price. So just by interacting within it, we should be able to add more value to ADA and other chains. So that's my final thoughts.
Yeah, if I could chime in real quick. In the past, I've actually made a bunch of e-commerce websites with like traditional Web 2. And, the number one thing that I've always had problems with is working with these third-party companies like Stripe or PayPal. The headaches are just like super endless. And especially when you're working with international purchases, there's a lot of things that could happen, and you could be like thrown to support that never comes back, and you could have your money held somewhere and just not know what's going to happen next. But with something like this that, we're talking about and building, it's really cool to say that I can make an e-commerce website and people can purchase it by connecting their wallet and paying with ADA. It just seems like it's going to be a lot more smoother. And, all these people out here with wallets, with crypto, that would love to buy things, especially physical things. I know right now we're doing digital, but I feel like the possibilities are pretty endless.
Absolutely. And you've got issues like trying to get an account with Stripe, trying to get paid out. So for people in some African countries, it's literally not possible to run e-commerce with using Stripe because you can't get them to pay out to your local bank account. So, yeah, I'm really excited by the e-commerce tools that are building, because for me, the biggest issue with crypto is that last mile. I can have ADA and I can sort of use it and to buy other coins, but it kind of falls apart at like, well, I can't use it to buy apples. I can't use it to buy stuff in my local environment. This sort of application of it, I think, help get that last mile of, well, now it's becoming an actual utility that I can use in real life to get the things that I want to get. And, our first iteration will be digital products. But that to me is as good, if not, as anything else, and all no code. It's really exciting. I was very excited when Tobias showed me that.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really good opportunity for people to get creative. Once you're able to sell physical things, it's pretty endless. It'd be pretty cool to say that, I bought a t-shirt from a brand through ADA, and,
yeah.
You would have to be a part of that community to get that t-shirt,
Absolutely. And having, the subscription tool, so I can subscribe to this community using ADA.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's very exciting. Very exciting. Like, I think it's one of the better ones. Let's sell t-shirts. Absolutely. But I think absolutely we should have t-shirts, especially, triple X size for my fat belly. Definitely. Because I'll be wearing them every day. Let's wind it up there. Just again, we are going to do this again next week on X. We had some issues of people couldn't hear, so we'll do a space on X next week, same time. And then again back in the Discord. And then on launch day on the 17th, we will do it again on X. aka Twitter. There'll be a
Yeah,
recording of
and
this.
then you guys have you're doing a space with Connected tomorrow, right?
Yes, we've got multiple spaces coming up. Coffee, was it Cardano over coffee? Queenector space, Calm Damo. We have been talking with Snacks on a Chain, Crypto Pros, Better Web3. We have lots of spaces coming up. So you should be able to hear us everywhere and get very bored of our voice. But not bored by the exciting stuff we are building. Thank you everyone for listening.
All right, guys.
Have a great
Take care, man.
morning and evening.